Rev Dan's Roundup is back, and we're going to start with a methed up priest. You didn't hear that wrong. I said methed, as in crystal meth. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Rev Dan. I'm a vicar in the Church of England. On this channel, you get all my views as a parish priest on all the Christian news happening in the world today. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below, share it, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. You can also follow me over on my Substack, where I'm creating a community over there. And if you'd like, you can also contribute to the channel to help keep me doing what I am doing. So as you've probably seen, I have not even edited this, and hopefully there'll be no more editing until the end of this video. This is Rev Dan's Roundup. I'm going to go through a load of news stories, give my opinion, talk about them, and this is what I do. There's lots of stories. Today I'm going to go through some of the stuff that has been going on in the past. So much news to speak about, and the first one is actually really interesting. Last year, before General Synod in November, a vicar called Alice Goodman, she did a same-sex blessing, even before it got to the November Synod, where we didn't know what was going to happen, but we thought they were going to commend the prayers of love and faith for it to happen. So I've been wondering, has she got disciplinary for this? You know, she's openly done it. She wrote about it in a magazine. It was all over the internet, and what comeback? And you know, you don't know what's going to go, what's happening behind the scenes until something comes out. Anyway, one of the things that I go on is a clergy disciplinary measure. All the clergy that have done naughty things and they've gone through the process, they go onto a part of Church of England website where it tells us what's happened, whether it's been acquitted or, in most of the cases, that they've received a penalty for their actions. And one's just come out at the end of August. It's a 78-year-old priest. He was ordained in 1970 and worked in Chichester. And then it tells us in the paperwork, and by the way, all the links to the stories are down below. It tells us on the 14th of December 2022, Sussex Police attended the respondent's address and found crystal meth and ketamine. So crystal meth is a Class A drug and ketamine is a Class B drug. He's also admitted to injecting heroin in front of a dealer, and that has been going on for 20 years. So, you know, if he's 78 now, he started when he was 58. Wow. You know, what a story. I'm surprised it's not got out into any of the papers. Nothing's out there at the moment. I'm sure it will get out. This is a big story. He's retired now. He was permission to officiate, PTO. That means he's not in charge of a church, but he's retired and he goes and helps out. But he is now, reading the paperwork, he's lost his license. He's lost his PTO. He will never be a priest again. And there's part about his age and being rehabilitated and 20 years on drugs and taking, heroin, crystal meth and ketamine. That's a big thing. There's not, you know, this is the case. This is where the court proceedings from the Church of England setting out everything. So we don't know the backstory. We don't know what's going on. But obviously, if he's doing it for the last 20 years, he's been doing it while being a priest. But it's a pretty big thing. It's a pretty big thing. You know, you can't speculate over these things about why or anything like that. There's perhaps more to come out if it does get out into the papers. But 78 years old and doing crystal meth. Wow, that took me. You know, I was going out looking for this priest who did the same-sex blessings and come across this priest at 78 years old is taking crystal meth and ketamine and admitted to shooting up heroin. You know, the work of a priest is hard, I would say, but there we go. It happens. We are all human, but questions. You know, if you know, you can hide these things, I suppose, as vicars, and but there must have been signs. There must be signs. People who are on drugs, they don't look normal, do they? They lose their the way they look. They get withdrawn features and things. But you know, there's no photos. I'm not even going to try a photo. Try to find who he is, because I think he's going through a hard enough time. But, you know, a methed up priest, eh? Who would have thought? Moving on, Breet Murphy, the saga continues. Brett has, as far as I know, has not had his appeal. So Brett was sacked by email from the Free Church of England. And just looking before on the Morecambe, his church in Morecambe, the website there, it's quite sad really, because a few days before there's a Facebook page photo of his kids growing up, and he was there a year, and the heights of the kids, and I think it was like you grow in ministry and the kids grow as well and things like that. And a few days later then there's this statement that he's been sacked in I've done a video about this, so you can watch that there. It's a saga that continues. He wasn't sacked by any of the canons of the Free Church of England, but he was sacked using secular law. And and in my understanding, if you appeal, it's got to be a certain amount of time, if I remember rightly. It's been a long time since I've been in secular work, but I know there's been reported that the other bishop doing this is on holiday. But the stuff that's coming out about the Free Church of England at the moment is astonishing. Now, this is a church that's in a report I read on Anglican Inc. has only got a few hundred congregation across the land. It's not a big church at all, but what's been going on with the bishop, well, especially the bishop of the Northern Province, I think it's John Fenwick, and all this stuff, and it's coming out. There's another guy on YouTube, John Donvich, I think he's doing interviews with people, and as I got free time or working in the computer, I'm kind of listening to it, and wow, for a denomination with all these things, and there's a lot comes back to power. There's power imbalances here, and abuse of power. This Bishop Fenwick is 75 now. He should have really retired at 70. Most in the Church of England, you have to retire at 70. Even the Archbishop of Canterbury, 70 in January 26, and he has to retire. He can't stay on. There's no recourse. So going on 5 years beyond that 70 age limit, there's hardly any priests there anymore. That they've left. All the priests that are coming in are just leaving or being got rid of. In the Northern Province, I think. I don't know how many churches there are, 9, 11 or something. I think there's only 1 or 2 priests there. Anyway, he has still not had his appeal, and so we're waiting to hear out, and I'm sure Brett's got everything ready to go public with what has happened, and quite rightly he's been quiet about it because you let the process go. But he did say on his Facebook, I saw the post today that popped up on my phone, that the bishop went along with 2 priests to deliver a letter to his wife at their home, and his wife's pregnant. And if you're going to take a letter to someone you think there's going to be violence or something like that along those lines, you can take police with you. But wow, come on, the lady's pregnant, and the reason is I think because Brett's wife is a church warden there. He could have sent it by email by all accounts, and in the end he did. Anyway, this has made it into the Church Times newspaper. I read the article. I thought it was going to be a bit against Brett, but actually it's really neutral and actually just putting the facts out there, so that's great. Just talk about what's going on and Brett's past. But Brett's ministry is growing online, and you never know how God uses all this. It doesn't seem the Free Church of England was exactly how we all thought it was. I knew that there were, I said before, I've been told, if you ever leave the Church of England, don't go to the Free Church of England. We know why now, and I wasn't going to leave the Church of England to go to the Free Church of England, but it was the fact that 2 people warned me, thought, well, there's something going on. Now we see. Will the Church of England survive this? Not the Church of England, the Free Church of England. The Church of England's got enough problems by itself. Will the Free Church of England survive this? I don't know. It's a small church. There's probably really good Orthodox faithful people there. There's really good Orthodox faithful priests, presbyters, I think they call them there. But this is going to engulf, and the stuff that I'm hearing at the moment, it doesn't just involve the Northern Province Bishop, it involves the Southern Province Bishop as well. So we wait and see. Pray for Brett and his family. But what's quite interesting is, as much people might think that me and Brett spoke before, we didn't. We're different ministries online, but he went up to Morecambe and I carried on here, and we never really spoke, exchanged a couple of things, but we've actually started speaking since this. I let him know I was putting out my video out of courtesy, and we chatted, so that's a good thing as well, that we chatted and we texted each other. Another person who was in the Church of Free Church of England, the Free Church of England. Do you know there's a continuing Church of England as well? But left the Free Church of England and I went to the Norway, I forgot what it is, church, was Calvin Robinson. Now Calvin Robinson is also leaving the UK for what's going on, and Calvin Robinson is very outspoken in his views, both religiously and politically. He is a religious political commentator. You remember he sat from his role on GB News. He's now gone over to Lotus Eaters, but he speaks out. And from the interview that I saw that was with Dan Woodson that he put out on his Facebook page and on Twitter to say these are the real reasons why I left, because it's quite interesting that he said that he's leaving the UK to go over to the United States. And I see the headlines and it's like, let's see what the truth is. Are these headlines the truth, or let's see why he's actually leaving? And so he is. He did this interview, again, linked down below, that he's leaving, one, because he does speak out, and he was put on a list of 10 people to be targeted from Islamist extremists. That would be awful. That would be awful. You just think walking down the street and you think you can get attacked. Everybody's got red lines here. But the other thing is, he says in the video that this actually started, the process of actually discerning whether to go to the States started back in November 23, just after he got sacked from GB News and just before he got priested in the Norway Church. And sorry, I forgot what name it is, but it is out there. And so that process been going on. But I think the catalyst was with the new government coming in, that he's going to go out there. But obviously he's going to be online, because everything's online now, and going back to be a priest. And this is the thing, isn't it? When you're called to be a priest, you are a priest. You run a church, you preach sermons, you do the communion, you visit the sick, you do all these things as we do. We proclaim the gospel, most importantly. And so it's trying to find that balance, I suppose, for Calvin, who feels called to be a priest, but has got this huge online platform across the world, really, that how does he hold this? So it really is nice that he is going to be a parish priest once again. And you can watch that interview down below. But so Calvin's going to go off, but he did say he's going to come back and stand for Parliament, which would be, 2029. So he'll be off there. But, with the online, you probably still see as much as him online, even though he's in the States, than here. But goodbye, Calvin. Have a great ministry and keep up the good work that he does. And he does speak out from things of a Christian point of view. People don't like him, and I interview Calvin on this channel, and we wouldn't agree on everything. Of course, we wouldn't agree on everything. He's more Anglo-Catholic, evangelical for a start, but we hold that Jesus is Lord, and that's the central tenet of that. We will express ourselves differently, but that's the body of Christ, and that's what we're called to do. And I think actually that he puts himself right out there, and it's like, wow, you've got to respect that and speaking out from a Christian point of view, and a Christian point of view that the way that he speaks has not been put out there as much, and what that I've seen since I've been a Christian, haven't had anyone in a collar with that platform and speaking such truth. So that is got to be a good thing. So moving on, I was scouring in the internet. What are the stories? What are the things going on here? And what is going on here? So in the Telegraph, this is: give worshippers blankets instead of heating churches, Vicar's told. It's not worth keeping our buildings warm for limited use, says cleric spearheading Church of England's net zero drive. So this is like, yes, does it cost a lot to heat churches? Yes. When in my church, when they electricity and gas prices hit the roof, that's exactly the same month we had to change our contract. It cost a fortune for us. It was paying double, and there's nothing we could have done about it. And so we really understood. We had to look at the heating. We had to keep the bills down. Of course we did. And it's always been said, and this is probably right, in a church, it is cheaper to heat the person than it is to heat the building, but you don't give them blankets. I remember in a previous church that I was in, the church warden's daughter, who came back from Christmas on Christmas Eve, came to the service knowing that the church was cold. The church didn't have much money at all, so didn't really put the heating on much. Had a water bottle in her jacket with a big jacket, and it's like, what, if people come in cold for those services, they're not listening to you, they're not listening to the gospel. And so it is right to try and heat the person. That is more efficient, but the trouble is there's a lot of dioceses in the Church of England, for their push for the 2030 net zero limit that they put on churches, is that if your boiler breaks now, if you've got a gas boiler and it breaks, then they want you to get an air source heat pump or a ground source heat pump, and they cost a fortune, and they're not actually that efficient. We got a hall that got one, and they sent a paper around and saying, it's noisy, it's not as efficient. In fact, we're paying a bit more on the electricity than we were before. It's just, don't do it. It was a good paper. They did it with all good intention, but it's not a good thing. The technology's got to catch up, and I'm sure one day that technology will be good, but at the moment it isn't. So but this person in this article, it says that the mantra now is heat people, not the space. Yeah, I can totally agree with that, because even from a financial point of view, from churches that haven't got money, and to be honest, there's a lot of small churches that haven't got money, heat the building, it's a lot of money. So heat the people, yes, it is more efficient. But it says his own church, this Reverend Goddard, his own church, St John's Waterloo, which was built in the early 19th century, has had a 6 million green transformation. And so I take this as a newspaper article, and it's not going to be 6 million was truly spent on just green transformation, but I can bet you that a lot of money was put towards the green as a transformation there. But I don't know what the 6 million fully was for, but I hope it wasn't 6 million for the green transformation, because that would be horrendous waste of money when there's so much need, and the church could do something about it. But so, and I'm sure they got an air source or ground source heat pump in there. So going back to what I was saying before, if a church, if the gas boiler breaks, that a lot of dioceses say now you've got to get one of the heat pumps. I know a church in the Church of England, so let's put it out there, it could be one of many, who their boiler broke, and they didn't want to. The expense hasn't got a lot of money of getting a air source or ground source heat pump. So the diocese said the only thing that you can do is you're allowed to replace parts, but you can't replace the whole boiler. You can't get a new boiler. So what this church did, quite smart here, they took all the internal parts out, kept the frame, kept the the box, and then got a new or replacement or second-hand boiler in the frame. So they got this new boiler, so they can keep heating the church cheaper than it is to get what they were told to buy, and still technically say, well, this is the old boiler because the old box is there. Yes, all the new bits inside are new or second hand, but smart way to do it. I hope churches don't start asking people to come in with blankets as the headline article says. But the truth is, with all of this, there are a lot of churches out there, and like I said, I've experienced this, who don't have the money even to put on heating. And in that church I was in, we put on the heating. I said, we've got to put on the heating at Christmas. We've got people coming in who don't come to church. We need to make them feel warm and welcome, that they're not coming into a church which is freezing cold. They're not going to listen to anything. They're just going to be sat there because it's a nice Christmassy thing to do, but just thinking this is so cold. And you know what? The plaster has started falling off the walls through the heat there, and caused other problems. But that's because it wasn't a choice they wanted to make. It's a choice they had to make. And so the trouble is, the only thing that diocese would say is, if you want to make everything more efficient, is get an air source heat pump or ground source heat pump. Actually, they need to think of things of heating the person, but cheaper, and not put the onus on the church to pay for it. So we will see where this goes in the future, but heat the person, not the building, is right. But let's not put onto small churches the cost of technology that isn't up to where it's supposed to be, and give them no option except for go down those routes. But like I said, that one church did a smart thing. It's still the old boiler, the old boiler frame. So catching up again on some news. This news about Bernard Randall and the way he's been treated. So Bernard Randall, I met him actually last year at the art conference. I got to speak to him. Lovely guy, and just in speaking to him, such an intelligent guy as well. You could just tell he had such knowledge. And he was at a school, and the school had in some one of the campaign groups or charities coming in to say stuff, and I think the children wanted to hear his side. He did it in a sermon in chapel when they were all there. Someone complained, and then all hell broke loose. I read the sermon. I went off. I was intrigued after I met Bernard. I read the sermon, and it is not strong rhetoric. It is not at all. It's actually really balanced, but speaking biblical truth. Because of that, he got sacked, and he can't get back into the Church of England. Even when I saw him last November, I said, "Are you working now?" He had found some work. But again, it's going to what I said about Calvin being a parish priest. Bernard has come in to be a priest or a chaplain. That's what he's called for, and now he isn't being. And this has gotten to the national newspapers, and it's come back on the bishop and the Archbishop of Canterbury. As it says in the article in the Telegraph, it says the Archbishop of Canterbury was plainly wrong in dismissing the concerns about the blacklisting of a gender-critical chaplain. A leading lawyer from the church has ruled. So Bernard Randall barred from preaching for 5 years after he gave his sermon. He was at Trent College, Nottingham, and then he was reported to prevent the terrorism watchdog, and was ruled by the Church of England to be a risk to children. Can you believe this? In Christian Today, Tom Dieppe, I think he works for Christian Concern, who represented him, put out saying here that he wasn't just reported to prevent, he was reported to a whole host of people, including the police, I think, to make sure that he wasn't a risk, or he was a risk. So they referred him to Prevent, the government's counter-terrorism unit, as well as the teaching regulation or agency, the local authority designated officer, the disclosure and barring service, and the local diocese of Derby as a safeguarding risk. He's been vindicated of all these organisations except for one, the Church of England. So he's still banned as to be able to serve in the Church of England, to be able to live his calling out in the Church of England. And it's the bishop who has said no, and he's appealed to the Archbishop of Canterbury, and they said no. So it's Bishop Lane, I think it's Libby Lane, refused to allow Bernard Randall to bring a misconduct case. Oh no, the Reverend Justin Welby has repeatedly refused to allow Dr. Randall to bring a misconduct case against Bishop Lane, despite being told by a KC that this decision was plainly wrong. And this guy's fighting. And all he wants to do is to get back to live out his calling. And there's all of this going on. And it just looks wrong. I can't see myself if you've got all these agencies investigating him and saying nothing wrong here, and the Church of England saying, no, there still is something here, but he's not allowed to preach and not allowed to live out his calling. And then trying to go to the Archbishop of Canterbury to say, look, this bishop's blocking me, and the Bishop of Canterbury is going, no, nothing to do with me. The Telegraph go on to say, in judgment seen by them, Gregory Jones, KC, reviewing the case on behalf of the Clergy Disciplinary Tribunal, said Dr. Randall's case was egregious and the Church's error gross. This is the KC saying that. These carry heavy words. Dr. Randall told the Telegraph, in my case, safeguarding has been weaponised as a political tool against a theological position, which is wholly consistent with the Church's doctrine. I have been vindicated by a number of secular bodies, but the CEV, who on paper share my beliefs, should be supporting me, are refusing to give me my life back. And that's absolutely right. And, what is the process? It brings up questions. This poor guy can't live out his calling, but brings up questions. What's the process here? And it goes back to power. We talk about the Free Church of England, but the power by the bishop there and the way he's using that, allegedly, until it all comes out. Are there questions of power here? There's the power in the process. Let the process follow. And if it turns out that during the process Bernard Randall cannot have a license in the Church of England, that's fine. That's the process. It's fair. But without the process going through, and with Justin Welby saying, you can't bring a case against the bishop, well, where's the process and where's the accountability of all this? It brings up more questions. The local diocese even went as far as branding its own teaching a safeguarded risk, Tom Dieppe says, which is beggars belief, because if we uphold the teaching of the Bible and what Bernard Randall mildly said in the sermon, like I said, it wasn't rhetoric at all, then their own teaching would be a safeguarding risk. It would come back on them. It's as he says, it's like a satirical comedy sketch, except for this is for real. But in contrast to that, we have a priest who got paid a six-figure sum. I think it was 240 or 260,000. This came out in the middle of August, just before I went on holiday, to be removed from office. Who was considered a real safeguarded risk from the reports. And in the Church Times, it says, CDM system failed us, says Blackburn Diocese, after paying off a canon who posed risk. So this guy, Canon Andrew Hinley, was a canon in the Blackburn Cathedral, who had been assessed as a risk to children and young people, so this is serious. And the only option for his removal, a former Bishop of Blackburn, Julian Henderson, has told. Findings from a 2-year BBC investigation, and this, the BBC did a huge investigation and a huge article with the title, "Why Does the Church of England Struggle to Deal with Child Abuse Allegations?" And over the last year, and if you've seen the General Synod and all the safeguarding stuff going on there, it's quite rightly, again, so many questions to be answered. That they did this 2 years investigation and revealed that this canon Andrew Hinley was forced to retire, and then in 2021, and a six-figure sum, 240 or 260,000, settled in a subsequent legal challenge. Canon Henley has insisted that he never posed a danger to young children or been a safeguarding risk. He was reported to the police. The police investigated, but the police didn't find anything, or there wasn't enough to go on. And because of that, the Church of England couldn't do anything to bring him as well, because there wasn't enough evidence. Canon Henley held office under freehold. That's the old way that people used to hold their positions before they brought in something called common tenure, and it makes it harder to be removed from office. and he could only be removed under the clergy disciplinary measure. And the BBC reported that several attempts were made to bring the case, but nothing ever came. And even in the articles and the news out there, the Archbishop of Canterbury, actually now taking action, said, if it's so bad and this person allegedly posed such a risk, that they were going to close the cathedral, because this person allegedly is such a risk. Canon Hindley denied assaulting anyone, but according to the BBC, admitted he didn't cover himself in glory. There's an allegation or conduct at a drinks party in the Cathedral gardens, at which he was accused of indecently assaulting a woman, kissing an underage girl, and inappropriately touching 2 men. Yeah, this is not good. So the police couldn't do anything about it. The CDM process, where they're actually using the process, couldn't do anything about it. But hey, at least they tried to use the process. They were going to go as far as closing the cathedral to stop this man, because it potentially posed such a risk to young children and people. And then when he finally did go, received a couple of £100,000 from the Church of England. And again, so many questions about what's going on, and how people, and in this case, a person in the cathedral, can hold such power and stay there. And this, by the way, wasn't just over a year or two. This was over quite a few years that he was being investigated and reported, and them trying to get him out. But yet he's still staying in place, and as a potential risk for young people and even adults at a garden party. It's just like, so no wonder the Church of England, no wonder the BBC asks, why does the Church of England struggle with this? And we got to have, it's difficult, yes, with old contracts, as they were, of freehold and things like that, but not at the expense where children are being abused and people holding on to their roles. It's like, what's going on? The General Synod can change all this, and yes, things have changed with common tenure, but it's not equal across the board, is it? It's not equal. Where CDM was trying to be used, clergy disciplinary measure, to get this person out, and it didn't stick. And then when if Bernard Randall has done something absolutely wrong, well, CDM him, take him along the process, instead of just saying, I'm not going to give you a license. It does astonish me. But we do have a General Synod, and this needs looking out. We been on this channel and over the last year, and looking at the news stories, we get in the Christian news press. Fine, that you expect to, but when we get in the national press, and it's like hanging your dirty washing out for all to see. People are seeing, and that's what they take. This is what they, there's no one on a tube, for example, in London reading the Church Times or Christian Today or anything like that, if they're not a Christian, if they've got no interest. But if they're reading the Guardian or the Telegraph, and there's a big Church of England article in there about the Archbishop at Canterbury blocking something and gross errors going on, or the Church of England struggling with child abuse, what are they going to see? What are they going to think about the Church of England? How hard does that make it for us to go and preach the gospel, to say, no, we are good, faithful Bible teaching Christians. We love Jesus. We want to help people. And they're going, look, mate, I read the Telegraph or the Guardian the other day, and you lot don't seem actually that good. Child abuse and gross error. What does it seem Christ-like? We need to sort our house out. That's what it is. We need to sort our house out. And soon, and it needs to be started. It's not my level at the parish priest. I sort my own house out, in my church, but I'm talking about the national level of the church and the General Synod. This has to move quickly, and I always say things don't move quickly in the Church of England, but time after time, just since I started to look at all the news going on in the Church of England, is safeguarding keeps coming up and up and up, and it's just like, wow, this is just, it's got to be sorted out. It has to be sorted out. And and dealt with, and people who are committing these things, and there will still be people in the Church of England, they have to be found out, and it needs, well, like publicly, so people can see that we're sorting this out, and they have to pay for the crimes that they are committing, and it be known. You cannot come in the Church of England to do this stuff. There's just no room for you here. We're a Christian church. We preach the gospel. We love people. We help people. But you are not welcome here, and you're not going to get in. And the ones that are in, they've got to be found out and got out. Absolutely, for sure. So here's a bit of good news. After all that, here's a bit of good news from the Church Times. Cathedral visitor numbers bounce back after pandemic. Services recover more slowly. So people are coming to cathedrals. That's great. What I don't personally, what I don't agree with is asking for a donation or an entry fee to a cathedral. I know it costs a lot of money to run a cathedral. I get that. So going back to heating. But, this is the house of God, and we got 42 cathedrals. They should all be open. They should all be free. Every time I go on holiday, we'll go around and see churches or cathedrals in places, and they're always free to go in there. Yes, they make different money by charging €1 for a candle, or €5 for a big candle, or this or that, or whatever it might be. But we should be allowing people in our cathedrals for free, and the running of them should come from somewhere else. We got like 9 billion or 10 billion now in the church coffers, and the amount of interest on that can probably just surely help run the cathedrals as well, and let people to go in for free. Anyway, that's probably another video. So visitor numbers are up, but service numbers are covering more slowly. Now, it has been reported that more people started attending cathedral services. There was a move for that quite a few years ago, so that was good news. But at the 42 cathedrals, how many really are orthodox? Because we have to be careful what services we're going to, what gospel is being preached here. But it tells us in the Church Times the weekly attendance at regular services in cathedrals rose from an average of 28,300 in 2022 to 30,300 in 2023. But down from 2019 of 36,800. So, it's still over 6,000 people down from the 4 years previously, which was quite a lot of people if you think about it. But visitor numbers recovered. It says in a total of 9.35 million visited in 2023. Close to the 2017 numbers at 9.38. So that's good, because it says the economy and people visiting are going to come back to England. We'll see what that looks like now after the riots and or what's going on in the UK, and the way that the UK has been portrayed abroad, whether the tourism goes down. But it's good that people are coming back and visiting our cathedrals. But if every cathedral's charging to get in, and there's a total of 9.35 million people getting in, and I don't know if all cathedrals charge, by the way, but you imagine how much money they make. That's but what knocks me, and it knocks me when I go on holiday, is you go in the cathedrals and churches, and I never see a priest there, and they do have a large staff, and you think, like, put one priest on there. I always see helpers and stuff like that, but never see a priest. Never see a priest in the cathedral. It's I don't know about the Church of England, to be honest. I'm not saying about this on the Church of England for once, but and I hope we do have priests in the Church of England rotated to be there while the cathedral's open for people. But when I go to Catholic churches, Catholic cathedrals, there's never a priest there, and I always think, wow, if you've got hundreds of people coming through your church or your doors, surely you have a priest there to speak to people and to pray with them and to talk about Jesus. This is a great opportunity, and there's no one over there. It's maybe I should go around the cathedrals and see if there are priests in the cathedrals when visitors are coming. But that would cost me a fortune, unless I wear my clergy collar, and then I would be answering my own question, won't I? I'll be the only priest in the cathedral, perhaps, if there's no one else, and then that'd get confusing. But I don't want to pay to get into a cathedral. I won't pay to get into a cathedral. Anyway, they create prayer areas, and that's they say to get around it. This is a prayer area. You know what? In a cathedral that I went in when I was on holiday in Belgium, the cathedral's free to get in, and in one of the side chapels they created a prayer area. But they didn't charge anyone to get into the cathedral. But if you want to go pray, here's the quiet section, so people aren't walking around. Anyway, maybe that's like I say, that will be another video as well. So going to a disturbing story here, and this involves Scotland's the SNP. This comes from Christian Today. The SNP abortion plans deeply disturbing. So the SNP are committed to enshrining the right to abortion in the Constitution of Scotland, of independent Scotland. The commitment was contained within a resolution proposed by the they won't like me for saying that, proposed by the party's Elgin branch. It was passed by a show of hands at the SNP's national conference on Sunday. The SNP's website states that when resolutions are adopted, they become SNP policy and can be taken forward in government or championed in Westminster. This is dangerous stuff. This is abortion at its most extreme. To be enshrined in the Constitution, I don't know any other country, and I would have to look to be honest, who would allow that to be enshrined in Constitution. The resolution states that should Scotland become independent, the right to abortion would be written into its constitution. It described legal abortion as a fundamental aspect of healthcare and bodily autonomy, which the utter lack of understanding there. Abortion is not healthcare. We are not caring for the health. It's a child whose life is being taken away. That is not healthcare. We do not call when people die in war, oh, they died of healthcare. They died in war. They got shot or blown up. And bodily autonomy. Whose body? An independent child in a womb has got no autonomy over the decisions. It's such horrible words. And they said it should not be subject to the changing tides of political and judicial decisions. And this is what they're trying to do. That if Scotland becomes independent, it's in their constitution. So this is one reason for absolutely never voting for independence in Scotland, because this is just horrendous. So they want an independent Scotland, and yet they want to kill their own future citizens. That's not very Scottish. It's not very patriotic that you want to kill your own citizens before they're born. A spokesperson for Right to Life UK, Catherine Robinson, said that if the proposals were to be realised, it would make abortion on demand legal for any reason up until birth. This is extreme. Any reason up until birth. What is going on in Scotland? What is going on in Scotland? How can they bring this? This is dangerous. This is mass child genocide, because it absolutely would enshrine it, if they ever became independent, in their constitution for abortion for any reason up until birth. Any reason. Catherine Robinson of the Right to Life UK says it is deeply disturbing that SNP delegates have voted to make ending the lives of its unborn citizens one of those founding principles. And it'd be a founding principle. This is a radical and inhumane proposal that would likely lead to the lives of many more babies being lost to abortion in Scotland. It's horrendous, and it would an SNP delegate Peter Grant said it would make independence far more difficult. And absolutely, who could vote against? Who could vote for this? It's absolutely shocking. So that comes to my roundup of what's been going on. Some opinions on what's there. A bit of a long form roundup is back. One monologue. It's the only way I can do it. If I want to get this out as one video without editing and just putting some overlays on, this is what you get. I will still be doing, by the way, my more in-depth videos on single topics there be coming out, and this video is also available on podcasts, so you can listen to it wherever you go. I'll be back for next Friday's Rev Dan's Roundup, and I will see you. In fact, on my other Rev Dan's Roundup, I used to put a scripture quote in, I just remember now, and we used to pray. So let's pray. So important to pray. Let's pray for some of these things. Heavenly Father, we pray for that priest who is addicted to drugs. We do pray that he will break those bonds, Lord, and he will be free of those things. We pray for Bernard Randall as he fights to regain his right to preach the word of God in perhaps schools or churches. We pray for Calvin Robertson as he moves to the States to this new ministry while still continuing his online ministry. Pray for Breet Murphy, his family, and the Church of Emmanuel Morecambe and all that's going on, and for the Free Church of England, Lord, and everything that's coming out there. Pray for Archbishop, Lord, and all that he holds and the decisions he makes. Please guide him in making the right decisions. Pray for the victims of sexual abuse within the Church of England, and also the perpetrators, that they may repent of their ways, confess their sins, and step away from ministry that they've so much abused. Pray for our churches to grow, our cathedrals to grow, but we do pray for those cathedrals who are not following your word to turn back to your word, Lord, to preach your gospel, for priests, vicars to be present in cathedrals as people come in throughout their time visiting. We pray for the Scotland, Lord, and this awful motion to put abortion into their constitution. May, Lord, you thwart their ways. You will not be mocked. You are the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, and may this never ever happen. And we pray all this in your holy name. Amen. So keep well, my friends, and I will see you next week. Bye.